Hey guys, I'm Tim.
I'm Bob.
And I'm Dan.
And this is the Board Game Rundown. Today we are going to review Unfathomable by Fantasy Flight Games. I'm sure you've heard of this. It is essentially, and I'm going to have to stop doing this because I think that it will be different enough, but this is essentially, they took Corey Knizia's Battlestar Galactica, like Bones, right? Did I say it wrong?
That comment guy's going to be very mad at you.
That's fine. That's fine. Let me know again how to say that properly.
He is.
But this is essentially, they took the bones of the Battlestar Galactica board game, semi-cooperative, that is now famously out of print and super expensive on the secondary market. And then they have re-themed it, streamlined it, added some new elements to make it fit this new theme, this Arkham Horror theme. It's actually on the side of the box. I see it says Arkham Horror Files.
I like that.
So to me, that tells me that's like a category that they also would put like, Arkham Horror.
Right.
Yeah.
It's clearly
it's clearly
Elder Sign.
the logo.
And, right. Arkham Horror, the card game, and Eldritch Horror, right? So that's all going to kind of fall under that umbrella. Mm-hmm. And I feel very comfortable saying that because this art is all very much the same style as all of those games.
Yep.
So I'm going to assume you are not familiar with BSG, and I will just explain how what the idea is behind this.
Right. And if you are, I might make a notation skipping you ahead to the part we start explaining the differences.
Oh, yeah, sure. Well, I mean, you're going to see the differences as we go. But anyways, so we were all on this ship. It's like 1913, and all of a sudden, these deep ones are starting to show up. I believe there was like a murder or something, and one character finds the tome, which is a special item. And it's up to them. That person can get magic spells and do things. One person is always going to be the captain.
Keeper of the tome. The Capitan.
And so you've got these cards that are specifically rules. So the captain's super important because
He decides what direction you're going.
Right, yeah, in a way. And then the keeper of the tome is super important because they can use these really powerful magic spells, but they can also hurt you potentially or hurt other people potentially. So as we're going, there's deep ones that are coming out of the water and they're climbing onto the ship, and there's arrows on the map that'll show you how they move. You have a very nice progression chart. It essentially just tells you if they're going to do this. If they can't do that, then they will do this. If they can't do that, and it goes down like 4 different things. Very clear. I don't feel like there was ever really a question as to like, oh, well, how does that work? Like, I think the player aids, and it's all pretty intuitive on how a lot of that stuff works. Mm-hmm. On your turn, though, your character is going to have different attributes, right? So it could be will or strength or perception or lore or
influence.
And so you're going to, different characters are going to, basically they're going to have like 2 or 3 of these traits. Oh, wow, that guy's got all of them.
Well, he only gets 1 of each, though.
But 1 of each. So at the beginning of your turn, you're going to draw one. You're going to draw a specific number of cards from those piles, right? So you might have like 2, 3, 2, or whatever. So you're going to draw up, and that's your hand basically until your next turn. So you're like, oh, I got so many cards. This is awesome. But then it stops being awesome because after you've taken 2 actions, which could be like a move and rescuing some passengers, or it could be moving to somewhere on the ship and activating that spot, like going to the boiler room and trying to make the ship move.
Yep.
So you're going to do 2 actions, then we're going to get a Mythos card, and we will resolve that. And those are usually lose-lose situations. You are basically, there's a skill check involved.
You say lose-lose, but it really kind of depends on what team you're on.
That is true. That is true. But basically, so this one specifically says the captain chooses. Mm-hmm. So it's got some flavor text, and then you're going to decide what you're going to try to do. There are some icons in the bottom, which then tell you what is going to...
Which monsters activate,
and then which maybe chart or track here you use. Mm-hmm. All of this is important because to start the game, this is a 3 to 6 player game. To start the game, everybody's going to have like these loyalty cards. And depending on player count is going to determine how many things are mixed in, how many humans versus how many hybrids. So the hybrids is a hidden traitor. Yep. They realize that they are becoming a deep one, whether they've known all along or they're just now realizing. And that's important because as we move, these tracks along. We move this ship track along. We can do that by the boiler room. We could be doing that because of this. There might be other cards or actions that can affect things. We haven't even seen half the cards, right? So there's all kinds of different things that can make that happen. If we get this track all the way to here, we're going to draw 2 of these cards, and the captain, which is why it's important, is going to resolve one of them. And they've got numbers at the top, and then there's text at the bottom, which are potential positives, negatives, maybe a little bit of both. And so the captain is going to choose one, and that's how far we travel. And then the other card will go on the bottom of the deck. And then once we're trying to get to 12, and then we have to advance the waypoint one more time, because this is showing that we are getting to a waypoint.
Yep. And each one of those cards will have a number value on it.
Right. Like 2, 3, 4. There might even be a 1. I don't remember if I saw 1 or not.
All we saw were 2, 3s, and 4s, but like Tim was saying, there's a lot of cards we didn't see.
I believe the rule book said they go from 2 to 4.
Okay. Yep. Looks like 2 to
3 and
4.
4.
So with varying levels of success and pain that go along with it. So that would happen. We'd go, and then once we get to 6, which is halfway or above, another set of these cards are now dealt out. So someone who was not a traitor to begin with may become a traitor, but maybe not.
I believe in the second half of the game there is a guaranteed traitor.
There's a guarantee. Well, there's already one traitor, though. They may not be.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So we played with 3, and there were 6 cards, and there was 1 traitor card. So,
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So somebody either was going to start the game as a traitor or turn into a traitor.
Yeah.
There's also this ritual track here, the spell track. And when that happens, when this gets all the way here, this basically you're summoning down like this big old bolt of lightning, and it's going to zap everybody on the outside of the ship, everybody that's outside the ship. So
And in the water.
And the water, right? So Father Dagon and Mother Hydra will actually go back down to the deep. These guys would get fried and go off to the side to the pool. And that is a way you can kind of reset. If you are outside, though, you're going to get zapped and you're going to go to sickbay. The worst thing about sickbay really is that when you start your turn in sickbay, instead of drawing up all your cards, you're going to get to draw 1 card, which can kind of suck.
It sucks a lot.
Sorry?
Oh, no. I was just going to say because when I pulled out the other Mythos card, that was an either or, where this has actually a target number, and it has a couple of traits. And this is like the meat of the game here. So this is an 11, and we can use either cooperation or perception, right?
Influence?
Influence and observation to add to this.
Right, to complete the skill token.
Right, so it could be, and you cannot say specific numbers, but it's 11, and let's say I got 2 3s in my hand. I'm like, I can really help out with this, but I can't do it all myself.
Yeah. Vagaries, it's all that's allowed.
Right, and let's say Bob, for some reason, is the traitor, and it's like, oh, I could definitely help.
Yep.
Now, he's got cards that are not what we are going for.
Right.
These cards will play as negatives.
Yep, they subtract from that total.
Correct. So Bob's like, I think I got the other half of that. And we're like, okay. And then you're going to take our cards that we have committed, and then you take is 2 from the Chaos deck, right?
Yep.
Yes.
And the Chaos deck could have treachery cards in it, which are automatic negatives.
Yep.
It could have cards that help you because it is a mixture of all of these cards. They all have the same backing, so that's keeps it a mystery. And then also this way, it's like, well, who threw the garbage cards that hurt us, right?
Oh, it must come from the Chaos.
So we're going to reveal, right? And it's like, oh, 3, we're doing good. A 3. Oh, no, a 1. That's a negative, to our thing. So now we're to 2. And then it's like, oh, no, now we're down to 1. We've got 3 cards left. I'm not feeling very good about this, right? And another 1. Like, this is terrible. What have we done? 4. Now we're like way in the negative.
Way in the negative.
And -4, -1.
And so now we would resolve the fail side of this. And then again, at the end of that, we would then resolve the monsters. And I'll go into depth a little bit, no pun intended, with the resolving the monster phase or the creature phase.
That card's also a little interesting because if we didn't think we could have hit this to begin with, the person could have just chose to take this, which is usually a terrible, but bad.
But not great. Not great. And just so you know, that's what a treachery card looks like. So that number is the negative that is going to apply to us. And this is if the traitor has revealed themselves, they may draw treachery cards and use them for special actions. But so this symbol, I believe, is Father Dagon. I got the thing right in front of me. No, it's Mother Hydra.
Mother's the broken ship.
So Mother Hydra. So what it's going to do is there's a little chart, and it says if she is in the deep, you're going to add 2 deep ones to the deep. If there are 4 more deep ones, then they move, and you're going to roll a die. So there's a number 8. So that's 5 through 8, 1 through 4. So they'll all spawn over here. Something that took us a minute to figure out because we were so used to playing BSG that we were, and this is...
Got too comfortable with the rules.
We got a little too comfortable with the rules because there's all these other spaces that don't have numbers. And we're like, how do...
They move down
How
the
do
ship.
they move down the sides of the ship? Because when they attack... So if this had procced and she's already up, she's going to just start wailing on the side of the ship. And then these dudes are all going to start climbing. Well, no, they don't start climbing up because that's only on the deep one thing. But she's going to start wailing on the side of the ship and damaging the inside of the ship, which is bad. It's damaging.
Perspective.
Right. But the awesome thing is, as you're messing around with these tracks, every time we advance this, everybody that's in the water slides down because the ship is moving past them, which is so thematic.
Yes.
When we realized this mechanic, I think it was a good 15 seconds of us going,
So cool.
What?
And Mother and Father on their turns are going to be slowly trying to make their way back to the front as we're shipping past them.
Because what happens is if they are back here and we advance this, they are left behind and we win the game. No, they just go back down to the deep.
Easy.
And now they're basically swimming underwater again to catch up. So then when they spawn again, they get enough deep ones to spawn again. They're going to pop back out and they're just going to keep coming. So the boards are going to just be crazy. They always spawn at the top and they work their way down the side. So this is also important because when they damage the ship, they're going to damage the interior of the ship that's closest to them. And so if I'm up here and there's damage cards over here, those are item cards. Hi. Damage cards here. Now it's going to start moving around. It's going to go deeper into the ship because they're hitting. But if they're all the way down here, now they're going to start damaging this, and it shuts down
engine.
It shuts down rooms until somebody can get there to fix the thing.
And do the repair action.
That's another item. But yeah, and the repairs are pretty straightforward. It's discard X amount of a certain type of card. There is one that's just lose 1 food. And that's super important, right? Because we got all these dials over here. And it is, we've got souls, we've got sanity, we've got food, and then the coal is fuel because this is a steamship. And so we are trying to get all the way out of here before we run out of any of these.
Yep.
Or these.
If there's so many deep ones on the board that we cannot place a miniature, we also lose the game. There are more ways to lose than to win.
Yes.
Right.
Now, combat is pretty straightforward. It's roll a die, and it's...
Hit on this.
Yeah, hit on this.
4 higher.
And there's lots of cards that give you extra things. There's cards that can modify and mitigate
Add
the
2,
die roll.
Subtract 2, things like that.
Right.
Reroll.
Right. So there's a ton of different ways to do stuff in this game. And in that way, it is very similar to BSG, but I do think this does not feel like a pasted on, this could be anything kind of theme.
Right.
Which is funny because it's a retheme.
Right.
Because
it is literally almost just a retheme, but it felt really good. It felt like it was meant to be a Arkham type game.
And I think that's a testament to the strength of this game design. They didn't just slap something on there. I think they really tried to present a
lot of
game.
the times Cthulhu stuff is slap it on there because it's free.
Yeah, it's a public domain.
Yeah, it's
IP.
public domain and people like it. Slap it on there. And I appreciate that it took them this long to come out with a good game.
Yeah.
That they didn't just we have the rights to Battlestar, and Cthulhu's open. Let's just do that.
Yeah.
Right? And or maybe not Battlestar, but the system that the game was based on, right? But I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah,
people of course have asymmetric powers.
Yep.
That's another big thing of the game.
Yep.
First player token has a little rotating thing so you can keep track of how many actions you've taken and stuff. That's pretty cool. These are traitor discs. So once you reveal yourself as a traitor, you put that on you. So just so that you remember that what you can and cannot do now. So like once you're a traitor, you can start just directly attacking and fighting other players.
Yep, you can't activate the rooms anymore.
Yeah, you can't activate rooms. So yeah, so that's just to remind you of where the traitor is and who they are. Passengers. So this is what I wanted to say earlier. When the ritual track procced, these guys would have died as well.
Yes,
because they're on the outside. So when a passenger dies, you flip them over and you lose whatever they are. And this is something way different than Battlestar Galactica. Is I actually went through these, and every single one but 2 of them is souls. Well, actually, even the one of them is souls. It's just also insanity.
One of them has, but yeah, it's double bad.
Yeah. So there's 1 blank or 2 blank, one that has insanity, and all the other ones have souls on them.
And that's that people icon.
That is so much different than Battlestar Galactica. From memory, I mean, I've played Battlestar Galactica a couple times. It's been a while, but Battlestar Galactica, you can lose fuel. You can lose because you might always lose people, sure, because you're blowing up a ship, but you're losing other resources from that.
This
from
is
those
just
things.
constantly hammering that one dial and making it really tough.
Which makes me wonder if the skill check cards are then balanced in a different way to where they hit fuel and food and stuff way harder because they don't need to hit
and
souls.
not quite as many
That's
people.
what these are for.
Sure.
Right.
You know, so that's interesting. I need to open up Battlestar Galactica again, and because I know they're not all just people and nothing
plus
else.
with the spell, with the the spell thing killing all those people, man, if you could lose like your fuel and your everything else like that,
and this is way more thematic. Technically,
yeah, it makes more sense,
right? Because you're and then. There's an interesting thing where sometimes it's like risk a passenger. So basically that means a passenger, you're going to place a passenger somewhere on the ship. It might be a die roll. It might tell you specifically where to put it. But then, now they're out there. So it's like, well, crap, this is about to go off. I need to get out here and rescue the passenger. So you basically just put them back to the available
Right, which is
pool.
funny because you're like, we got to do this thing. Get outside. Get outside.
Get
And then
below
you see something
decks.
coming. You're like, get inside. Get inside. Right?
What you just said. But yeah, it really, again, though, because we are trying to save all these people and get this ship to safety, contributes to the theme, like really strongly. I have heard, and I agree. So price point's like $80, right?
Overproduced. Is that what you're gonna say?
Overproduced is what we've heard. It's Fantasy Flight. Could these be standees or tokens?
Yeah.
Yes.
And just make like an upgrade pack or something. Sure.
Right.
But they look great.
But
I love how they're coming out of the water.
They look great. These, if I am not talented, but if somebody were talented were to get their hands on these, they could probably do some really amazing stuff with this.
Yep. Agreed.
So overproduced, yes, but I don't know that that's to its detriment. What I had said was what they should have done was do a deluxe edition and a basic edition. So you could
something like that, or
and I say that as someone who always buys the deluxe edition.
Yeah, or an upgrade
pack. Right, was also
that way. If you buy
suggested.
the regular one and you really like it, you don't have to rebuy a deluxe edition to get the fancy bits.
Right.
Obviously, I can't argue that.
Yeah.
That's what most things should do, right? It makes everyone happy. So that makes sense. I just think the production here is they know the audience they're going for, and also you're comparing an $80 game. They were like, well, Battlestar Galactica is $300.
Yeah.
So if we make this $80, it's a steal, right? And
true,
that's part of it probably that went in there too. I just think that they were going for a specific look, and I think that the miniatures complete that look.
Yeah.
And if you had standees, absolutely, it wouldn't change anything. I just think they had a vision and they were like, let's do that. I do not think, I understand Fantasy Flight, I understand. I do not think they only did this to jack up the price and pure selfish reasons.
Yeah, I think they wanted to have it look.
And I think also some of this is now you're seeing like shipping costs and stuff in production costs. Just overall production cost is now starting to seep in.
Yeah.
And that's a topic for a different show, but I think that this is also reflecting that a little bit. Not like crazy amount, because you get a ton of stuff in this box. This is a dense box. There's a ton of cards and a ton of minis. And they're good quality. I mean, you have standees for these guys, but you don't need... You could get figures for them and proxy them, and do them whatever you want.
How's the insert?
Insert is every other Fantasy Flight insert.
Oh,
It's
it is.
worthless.
It is.
It doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
It's like, hey, jam
But
all
we're
this
fine,
stuff
right?
into
Yeah.
this crevice.
Yeah,
basically.
this is one of this is that insert called "Take it out and throw it
Yeah.
away."
Yeah,
That's a Star Wars Rebellion insert.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct. It's a garbage insert.
It
But
is.
that's
But the player rates are really great.
I
though.
don't buy a Fantasy Flight game and going, ooh,
Look at
game
this insert.
trays.
The player aids are
Yeah.
great. The rule book was really good from what I could tell. Now we learned from the Learn
Oh.
to Play one, and the Learn to Play one again because we were a little overconfident and stuff. We knew most of the rules. There were things that were overlooked because they explained them in what I would call as weird places, but it's because it's laid out in a certain way. So it doesn't even talk about handing out the loyalty cards until one of the last pages of the rule book. But that's because this is for your first game training game. It wants you to get all the way through the first round before you hand out the loyalty cards. So it explains how an entire round works and everything in detail, and then it talks about loyalty cards. But my brain says, well, the loyalty card should be at the very beginning. It should be the
Right.
first thing it mentions, hand out loyalty cards. But this rule book says, no, I'm teaching this for beginners. Don't hand out loyalty cards. We'll talk about it later.
Right.
So I can't really blame the rule book on that. I just was expecting a very particular layout that I'm so used to, and it's kind of nice that this says, listen, just go page by page. We explain everything in the order you need to learn it. You know.
So let me ask you this. You're playing this game with all new people.
Uh-huh.
You're the only one that has played.
Okay.
And you are teaching this game.
Okay.
Do you hand out the loyalty cards before you start, or do you go through the first round, everybody plays where we know we're all loyal, and
Yeah,
then
I think-
after a round you hand out the
I
loyalty
think the first round thing is a great idea. I do.
I do too.
For all brand new players. So yeah, the thing basically what he's talking about, it's obvious. You probably picked up on it, but in the training mission, it just says don't hand them out the first round. Just let everyone have one entire round. Everyone takes their turns. Everyone's a good guy. Let's just learn the game mechanics and this. No one is stressing about, oh my God, what am I
What
going
do
to
I
do?
do? Do I help with this?
Let's
Do I
just
not
play the
help with
game. They get a
this?
full round in. They start to understand what's happening. They've seen 3 of those cards by now, like in a 3-player game or in a preferable 5-player game or something. They've seen 5 skill check cards happen. They've seen 10 actions happen. They've seen all this stuff. Okay, now one of you guys might become a traitor now and explain that, right? That's how this wants that done. And I can't argue. I think that's a really good.
Sure.
I think that's
No,
a really good idea.
that's how I felt, but I just wanted to ask you because I know that you
Yeah.
have taught Battlestar to other people, or and you are the one. You are the games ambassador in your family, right? So when you're trying to get your family members to play games, if you were teaching your family this game, would that be the path you'd take?
Yeah, absolutely.
Another very important thing that I neglected to say is that when you're the traitor, you don't have to actively sabotage. You can kind of hide stuff until you out yourself. Once you out yourself, you just go whole hog.
Yeah.
This is also one of those games that, depending on player count and luck, you could just play nice the whole game and win as the traitor because the game's that hard. You know,
you
like the game is designed. You don't usually in a game like this, and I've seen it go both ways, of course, because people like having fun. But usually the traitor will hide for most of the game and then wait for 2 rounds before the end. They know what's happening, and they get an opportune moment where they're like, okay, if I reveal right now, I could break that, which is gonna, sabotage this, which is going to cause like a chain reaction.
It's basically
they,
like
boom, and then literally
Like,
you look
all
at
right,
the board
guys,
state.
we're almost done. We just need this to not break. And then the trader's like, well, actually,
Yeah.
that is
Right.
now broken because I'm going to go in there and jack it all
Exactly, and
up.
then everything domino effect falls apart, and everyone's
And-
like just staring at the board.
So, full disclosure, if that kind of experience is going to ruin your night, don't play this game.
Yeah.
correct.
We enjoy the theatrics.
Right.
I not to speak for all of you guys, but I mean, like when the crazy stuff happens, you're like, what? Like we love that, right? That gives us the story. Even if we told, and I also would say play this game expecting to lose, so then that way if you win, you're happy. But I think we've kind of, glossed
Pretty good
over
overview.
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So we're gonna rate this.
Dan, how do our ratings work?
Daniel.
So we're just going to rate it from 1 to 10, giving our own personal opinion so that you guys might relate or not relate to our gaming style and stuff more. And then to make it easier to look up on external websites like Board Game Geek and maybe Facebook and stuff like that, we will average them together and give you guys one score at the end. I also think at the end, after we give you a rating, we should all talk about the if you have one, do you need the other debate.
Oh yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
So, I mean, I can go first really quick. So we played this last night. We had a really good time with it. This is my kind of game. There are 2 things here that elevate this game tremendously for me. And the one is, I don't know how they did it, but the theming here is fantastic. The greatest thing in Battlestar Galactica to me was always that feeling of getting to the Cylons are showing up, and I can never remember the star base. Is that what it's called? Star base? I can't.
No,
Base
it's not
star.
star base.
Base star. When the base stars are showing up and all this stuff, and you're just getting overwhelmed, and then you just get to the jump track, and you jump to light speed, and everything wipes from the board, and you're in quiet space, and then they slowly start catching up again because they're tracking you.
It's
right?
faster than light speed, but sure, go ahead.
Whatever. Star Wars fan over here. I was like, so how are they going to do that in this game? And the second you notice the mechanic with the people rotating around the ship and trying to catch up on the ship, and that's how it works in this one, man, I was just like, that's genius. I didn't think they were going to be able to capture that feeling, and you really captured that feeling.
Yeah, I feel like
splitting the movement
really
track
moving.
into 2 tracks to also stay on theme with this, to where they don't just poof when you travel, right? Because that's such a good idea. So that theming there is fantastic. And then also, I talked about this recently. This might be my favorite type of hidden traitor game.
Or social deduction game or hidden traitor game?
I mean both.
Okay.
Right? It's
No, that's fine.
both. But what I mean by that is, in the first half of the game, you don't know if there's a traitor. So it's like this constant paranoia of just like, why did Tim do that? It's like distrust, but like we could all be on the same team. When we played, we were all on the same team for the first half of the game, and it was pretty obvious. In a 3-player game, you can kind of tell that easier, but still, usually, you just have this weird hesitation with everything everyone's doing. But then the second half of the game comes, and you know at least one person is a traitor, 100% guaranteed. There might even be 2 of them out there now. What is happening? My life has fallen apart. Is like, and that is my favorite. I think I love that type of. I know. Dead of Winter has a similar thing, which I know you don't like, and Shadows over Camelot has a similar thing where it's potential traitor and stuff. And I think that is my favorite thing. So those come together very well in this game. I love the production value. I can't get my family to play Battlestar Galactica very often. Like, I have like one brother and one sister that are, if I brought it out like once a year, they'd be like, yeah, but like that's about it.
Is it the theme or is it the style of game?
I think it's a mixture of the theme is, they think, oh well, I've never seen that. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
That's gonna
Right, doesn't relate to them.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's just like doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Like, yes, it's better if you've seen the show, but you can love the game without the show.
Right.
And also the art style and production value is just not great in that game. Like, the
Well,
miniatures are
stills,
cool,
isn't it?
at least for that
Yeah,
time.
it's all screenshots.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's all screenshots, and the board is just very, like, the colors are very bland and dull and stuff. And I think that they might
Very
find it.
spacey.
Yeah, and it looks overwhelming. There's a lot of stuff. Like, this kind of looks overwhelming. There's a lot of stuff going on. For again, I'm talking about a mother and stuff like that. Like, you look at this. I'm just saying, you look at this and it looks like a lot, but it's not. You can do this. And so with all that, I love it. I'm gonna come down at like a 8.5 probably. I mean, I went into this thinking I was gonna love it. I loved it.
Didn't disappoint.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Bobby.
So I mean, I like social, not a ton of social deduction games, but I like hidden traitors. Like, for the most part, that can be fun. I do prefer them at a higher player count. We played with 3. It was very easy to figure out that I was trying to make things not go right.
It's hard to find people at 3 a.m. to play.
Sure. Yeah, that makes it a little more difficult too. So that's the tough thing for me, right? When games take 3 or more people, that's difficult to do in my game world sometimes. However, I love that when the boat's moving, they're sliding down the ship, they're hammering on it, dealing damage. You've got all these resources you're trying to manage. I really enjoyed it. Like, I played Battlestar Galactica. I liked it. I mean, it's been a long time.
Sure.
But I did really enjoy this, and I think Dan's right. It's an 8.5.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, so this, again, I don't know why I don't like Dead of Winter, but I do like other hidden traitor games. It's not like it's the hidden traitor is my problem with it.
Right.
Because I don't mind hidden
Maybe if
traitor
the
games.
hidden traitor in Dead of Winter was a zombie and trying to eat people. Like, I don't know what happened to Tim.
Right. But this, I was really impressed because I was skeptical at first, even though
Same.
I am in the bag for Cthulhu Mythos stuff.
Right.
Like, I am the Cthulhu
like,
guy,
I was a little
whatever.
skeptical.
But is it pasted on? No, the theme is not pasted on. They did a great job of making this feel like it's its own game. Battlestar Galactica, the show, is like 15 years old. There's not the demand for that IP other than by us by mostly like older fans, or fans that were, when it was closer to being, in the.
And
the
those
thing.
of you that are about to get offended, you mean the remake of Battlestar Galactica?
Oh, yeah,
because
I'm
people
not
are gonna
even-
be like, Battlestar
Yeah, I
Galactica is
tried
way older
watching
than
that.
that.
I'm not
Oh,
talking about the
man.
40-year-old television show. No interest.
These play rates are great, by the way.
Yeah.
They're very thorough. Explain all the rooms, how they work, all your turns you can do. If you reveal what you can do,
Yes.
the monsters' movements, they're very,
So
very good.
again, right? Like this game is very well made.
Yeah.
It's laid out very clear. I don't think this is as fiddly as Battlestar can be.
Yeah.
I think they have streamlined a few things. They have made it play a little bit faster, I think.
That's another thing. Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
talk about that later.
So, because for me, I like these kind of games. The theme is appealing to me. The idea and the way that all the mechanics work really do a lot for me. I enjoy well-produced games. I don't have to have them, but when I do have them, I'm like, oh, this is really nice. So that's a good thing for me, right? So it checks a lot of boxes. It's really, I think I'm with you guys. It's an 8.5, but if we played this a
few
bunch
more
more times,
times, more
it could be
people,
a 9.
it could
like,
be.
I think that the price point is a little intimidating,
Yeah.
but considering the alternative, this is very reasonable.
Yeah.
So our overall scores all averaged together.
That's an easy
8.5.
8.5.
What? So and then now segueing into, do you prefer one or the other, or can you have both? And I don't think your answer has to be yes or no, black and white. Like,
Oh yeah, it's going to be a little more complicated than that, right? But I think so. The biggest thing. So, do you need both? Is obviously a no.
nobody needs
You
both.
Well, I don't mean need like a necessity, but so
Would this scratch the itch if you wanted to play Battlestar Galactica, but you couldn't?
Right.
But you got this to the table with that.
exactly,
scratch
and
itch
the
for
answer
you?
is yes.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's going to be easier to get to the table. It's obviously cheaper, and then so all that going if you don't have it, right? And then if you do have it, it's really going to come down to your game group.
Yeah. Some people really enjoy Cylons.
Yeah, Battlestar Galactica is hard to get to the table, even with a group that loves the game. It's difficult. And I do think this would hit the table more. I think it's a more accessible theme, even though obviously Cthulhu has its kind of barrier of entry as well.
Sure.
It's not as like direct as Battlestar Galactica, the TV show. Like that's, it's a little bit more. Also, again, kind of going more in depth on what Tim was saying a second ago, we played a 3-player game of this fully with us trying to figure out recording and stuff during and stopping playing and figuring stuff out in less than 2 hours.
Yeah. And that was learning.
And a learning game. Now we played BSG before, right? But still, and that was a learning game. I am really excited that means we might be able to play a 5-player game of Battlestar Galactica in 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
That's
And-
really exciting.
And
to
not
me.
feel rushed.
right,
Yeah.
and feel like you played the game.
Right.
Yeah. Because Battlestar Galactica plays really long. I love it, but it plays really long.
It does.
It does last a while.
This is not as fiddly. I enjoy, again, like both games present very tough decisions, but I do think this cleans up some things and improves on some things. The theme is independent enough that obviously both games can sit in your collection and you'll be fine. You got your sci-fi friends, they prefer one over the other.
Yep.
But I don't think that the streamlining takes any of the crunchiness out of this.
Right. Yeah, it's still a
which
little
is
crunchy.
which is huge.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's like, well, it's a dumbed down version of,
Right.
like Whitehall Mysteries is a simplified version of Letters from Whitechapel.
Sure.
I think both games provide an amazing experience, but they do different things. And one may not be complicated enough for somebody who wants a more pure.
Yeah. So there's 6
experience.
actions you can basically take.
But
So
it's pretty
not
straight.
Too many, but it's not like, oh, you got this or that. What are you doing? So
Right.
There's still decisions
You could
to be
take
made.
2. And-
Yep.
yeah.
So if you've made it this far in the video, you're either really interested in the game or actually a Battlestar Galactica fan are interested. So I will talk about, because this is going to matter to you, there is still the annoying role in this game that Battlestar Galactica has. In Battlestar Galactica, it was called Sympathizer. I believe no one likes playing with the Sympathizer. It's just a
Okay.
really annoying role, which is why everyone says play Battlestar Galactica with a certain player count or else it's not as good. I think it's 5 in Battlestar Galactica. I don't know which player count gets the cultist in this game, but the cultist is going to be that role for some people, to where the problem with the cultist, it just feels really weird, is you are a good guy the entire game until you get to the final round, meaning you have hit 12 distance and you need to make it one more distance. Then, if the humans fail, you win. So you're a good person the entire round until the last round, and then if for some reason the good guys lose, so you just sabotage everything then, and if for some reason that works, you win after doing exactly what everyone else was doing the whole game.
Right.
And people are going to find that really weird and off-putting and probably not want to play with it super often.
It is really odd because why they need to just help the objective along, right?
Right.
Because you have to. It's a weird bullseye. They have to have traveled at least 12. So you're trying to hit the window of this very last
Exactly.
thing.
So if you do any sabotaging, it has to be so minor that you're trying to set up like, well, I don't want to be in a perfect
It's like
situation.
a delayed traitor.
So I guess the question. So thematically, it reads: you have pledged your life to advancing the aims of the deep ones. But you still cannot breathe underwater. So what it's essentially saying is that you want to sink the ship when you're close enough to land
to get there.
that you can survive.
That's funny.
So you can swim to shore,
That's funny.
basically, and the deep ones will let you go.
Sure.
I wonder if this is more of a like holdover so that we can appease the
BSG fans.
BSG
hardcore.
fans and
Yeah,
not
maybe.
just completely get
Well,
rid of it.
I don't think that would be it, though, because that's the least favorite part of BSG
Yeah,
fans.
that's
So
what people complain about.
But I don't know.
I don't know.
I would almost be interested to see how it gets played.
Yeah, of course, I'll
Yeah,
try it.
yeah,
I'm just,
not
there
gonna-
are people out there that are going to hear that and going to be like, oh, that's the thing I didn't like. It is still in this game.
But they never reveal as a traitor either.
Right.
So it will be really tough for they still have to be very sneaky because you can't do a lot from the brig.
Right.
So anyways, this is Battlestar Galactica or
Wow.
this
On a
is
boat.
Unfathomable. And it's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty good. I would like to thank the owners of Family Time Games. We borrowed basically their copy
Yep.
to get
Much
to play.
appreciated.
Yeah, Patrick and Julia also thank you because this will be their copy.
Yeah.
Right.
When we're done with this, because it's not out yet, and we got lucky and
did.
had an opportunity to borrow this and get to play it and take it long enough to review it. So thank you guys, really appreciate that. Overall, really.
Thank you guys
really
for
good.
watching.
8.5, guys. Check it out.
0.5 for the
Worth
board
it.
game rundown. I've been Tim.
I've been Bob.
And I was Dan.
We'll see you next time.
Hidden traitor.
Thanks for checking out the Board Game Rundown. If you like what you saw, like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Share our videos on social media and spread the word. We publish new content weekly, including reviews, unboxing, and Let's Plays. And as always, thanks for watching.